These are the major differences I saw traveling between northern Nigeria and Niger. Niger is a country bordering Nigeria to the north. The first thing to note are the Hausa ethnic group. The Hausa and Fulani combined are the largest ethnic group in Nigeria at 29%, but in Niger they are actually the majority of the country at 55%. In Nigeria, the Hausa and Fulani are highly intermarried and integrated, but this is not the case in other West African countries, so we will just talk about Hausa culture. Because Hausa are the dominant culture in both countries, there are actually far more similarities than differences. I think the first difference is that in Nigeria, the northern states are all just a few-hour drive from Kano. This is Nigeria's second largest city. The Nigeria side feels busy and has a lot more people. However, as soon as you cross the border into Niger, it instantly feels way more remote. The contrast is very stark. This is because on the Niger side, the largest city is a full day of travel away. So we go from being near a major city in one country to an extremely remote area in the next as soon as we cross that border. The border guards here were incredibly kind. If you know about my experience, especially traveling to Cameroon, the border acts like a giant extortion racket, bringing out some of the worst in people. On the other hand, in both Niger and northern Nigeria, there was absolutely no hassle, and the people were very kind. One of the guards even took my number and messaged me after my Cameroon video, saying how disappointed he was with the way that border operated. Another difference is the language barrier, which can make travel very difficult. Niger was previously a French colony, so French is widely spoken in their country, while English is the dominant language in Nigeria. My French is terrible, and it was very hard to communicate, but I actually found it easier to speak in Hausa with the local people. I don't particularly know Hausa, but the words are easier to pronounce than French, and reading off Google Translate got me a lot further in this language than in French. And because I don't speak French well, I couldn't tell if it was me or them, but it seems like they speak French less than in Nigeria, where pretty much everyone speaks English well. I can't say for certain on this though. It definitely seemed easier to communicate in Hausa though. One thing very similar between the two countries is all the food. The food on both sides is exactly the same, with the same names all in Hausa. When they talk about colonial borders making no sense, a large ethnic group arbitrarily split like this is exactly what they mean. Everything from the dress and local government systems like having sultans as local rulers is exactly the same. One of the things about Niger is it felt more Hausa than Hausa land in Nigeria, if that even makes sense. Perhaps it's the remoteness of it or the fact that Hausa is the majority in Niger, but it was definitely interesting to see. One of the things I really liked about Niger was this remote feel. Nigeria is one of the most densely populated countries in the world, and Niger is one of the least densely populated countries in the world. So as soon as you cross the border, it is culturally the same, but you know you have entered a very different country because of this population difference. Getting around with the language barrier was tough, but we did meet several people with family in Nigeria or from Nigeria living there in Zinder. These people all spoke English, so we could communicate to them and they could help us translate into Hausa. I think the kind people is one of the most memorable parts of Niger. Nigerians are also kind, but they're busy people and they love to hustle. In Niger, they're never in a rush and they always have time to help you out. Overall, I give Niger a 10 out of 10. It is so worth it to visit and actually cross this land border to see these interesting contrasts between the two countries. Zinder is a really impressive city, packed full with so much culture, and it was one of the most interesting places I visited in West Africa.